All right. So I want to go back in time to when this was an idea that the two of you had. Did it come about before the pandemic, or was that kind of where it came from?
I don't know that it could have come about before the pandemic. I wish that we could read the future, but no, truly, we were on another project and hoping that we had another movie that was going to go. And like so many of our friends and others, of course, that movie immediately got shut down, and we're still waiting for it to go, of course. But we had this incredible opportunity when we were stuck at home, and everyone was, and we just started talking to friends like, "Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing?" And this could not have been a more organic snowball, truly, like from start to finish. It started, the kernel of the idea came from one of our best friends who had a Zoom birthday party like a week into COVID. And I suppose the boredom just led to this idea of what if he was kidnapped during the Zoom, ready, set, go. And here we are today, I suppose.
And
Care what
so,
I miss. Oh, sorry, Dina.
no, no, go ahead.
Just gonna say, I think the unknown as well. The unknown really, at that time, we we found ourselves constantly wondering about what we were supposed to do or what we were not supposed to do, how to connect with people. We have grandparents who fortunately are still with us. What you tell someone who lived most of their lives before computers were a thing, how you explain that to someone. And we found ourselves also yearning for connection, and we feel like genre is an underutilized um, medium through which to explore those also larger themes of isolation and connection. And also, we love a fun ride, we love a fun ghost story, although there are no supernatural elements in this film. And so we felt like this was the best medium through which to explore those themes as well.
So if we're talking like second, third week of March and you guys shot in July, what that feels like quite the ambitious turnaround for a directorial debut for the two of you. So can you talk about that in between of like getting a script, getting actors, figuring it all out?
Look, Brand's an ambitious guy. So I just ride his coattails. So I think what
Other way around.
ultimately what it was is we all had time. We all had a lot of time on our hands, and we had a lot of time to think about what we wanted to do. I think we at the time we were working on a play that that is very, very close to home, that tugs at the heartstrings, that is a beautiful, sad, heart-wrenching coming of age story. There was no universe in which we were going to stage a play in May of 2020. I think we wanted something that was fun, that was also going to acknowledge the time that we were in, while not necessarily being about the time we were in. But ultimately, this film we never intended, excuse me, this film to come out during the height of 2020 or even 2021. But we did want to work on a film that acknowledged this once in a generation thing that we all experienced together. As it relates to how quickly we put this all together, I think the script was something that we love. We love a fun ride. We love a who done it. We love a how done it. We felt very clear. We felt a very clear directive as far as how we could do that utilizing technology. And so, as far as the script was concerned, we were able to put that together very quickly. We got a draft out very, very quickly, sort of quicker than we have written other things in our lives. Brent, you want to talk about cast and putting it together, though?
Yeah, I mean, we really had, I want to say that from one, because we had a treatment we were working off of initially. And I think that genuinely we had a conversation with our lead producers, and it was the kind of thing where very, very candidly they said to us, if we want to do this, we need a draft in 2 weeks. And so we wrote a draft of this movie really in a week and a half, because we needed something to attach everyone with. So I'm not saying at all that that was the draft we shot. We had, of course, a little bit of time while we were in pre-production to continue to revise it. And we're so grateful to our producers and honestly many of our actors who were really instrumental in getting the script to the place that it was in. We would have taken more development time, believe me, but the movie wouldn't have happened, quite honestly. I mean, there's so many times where in the post-production process we're like, oh my God, we wish we'd done this. We wish we'd. That's not this movie. This movie wouldn't have happened if we had waited a month, 2 months, whatever. And so it was that lightning in a bottle that allowed it to happen. And then we got so lucky because we were able to shoot a few pickup days with our post production partners subsequently.
Yeah. And so I'm curious because I think so much of this story is told in like the tiny little attributes. Like I think the mask choice of all of the characters like informs so much about who they are. And so I was curious if you could talk a little bit about if a time that I would say it was very hard to get things delivered.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
it's a great question. I think that we felt we were excited to build the characters with our actors as well. They are all wonderful and talented and smart and dedicated and also gave so much of themselves to the process. Some production elements certainly were born out of necessity. Others, though, were creative choices that each actor made in building their character. So things like mask choice, things like certain costume elements, production design. People were really excited to incorporate aspects of themselves, sure, but also aspects of their character that they thought would be fun. It's not as if we had 2 days to prep. We did have a bit of time where they could, we could and they could really decide on what we wanted a room design to look like. And so it was a really collaborative process and one that we try and work with every single performer that we work with. We want to be supportive to them and allow them as much creative autonomy as possible. But it was an incredibly collaborative process.
Yeah, the Brian, I don't the actor who plays Brian, if it was his choice to do the White Claw and the cereal, that is crazy.
Island,
That stuck out to me.
Oh my, I am obsessed, but yes, that we picked up on that detail because we love that moment. And truly, it was something that we were talking with Kylan, and it just sort of came up with the character. We always knew that Brian was sort of gonna be like the tech guy pounding White Claws the whole time because like we all knew those guys. But that moment, I think we can't take credit for truly came from Kylan's inspiration and also the graffiti behind it. Like there were so many just elements of this film that yeah, we're so lucky to have captured, and we can't take full credit for it, really was born out of, like we're talking about production design, so much of that was born out of us location scouting over Zoom the actors apartments. We would like literally hop on Zoom with them and say, okay, can you like sort of take us around so we can see what is even possible here. And then what we did also do is send production design boxes to each of their homes. Like many of the elements, like for example Ariel's character is obsessed with candles, so we sent her a box with all of those candles and all of the other stuff that she needed that were specific to the script. And then, of course, we were working with them then to arrange and production design their frames, much like our cinematographer, sound team, all of them were also working over Zoom with our cast to help them fully, camera op, sound op, like all of those things that they had to do.
As brothers, I have a sister and I cannot imagine doing a project together. So, what is it like your dynamic, the two of you, and do you each gravitate toward different tasks?
it's just a lot of screaming in front of the cat. No, it's I think ultimately we respect each other a ton. I think that we have been working together for the better part of a decade now.
Mhm.
A lot of it spent writing. A significant portion of our work are scripts, and I think especially in our early 20s, working on development deals and projects that may or may not ever see the light of day. I think it's a lot of time just the two of us figuring out our creative language. Additionally, we both came up in theater and have co-directed plays before and have co-directed stage readings before. When you are literally in the room with a team of people, you got to figure out your shorthand and language very quickly. We don't know quite how it works. We just know that it works. And we feel very grateful that every so often I will have a half completed thought and Brand will just step right in and say it better and more succinctly than I ever could. Brand, as far as like what we gravitate towards though, do you want to tackle that?
I think the other piece of the answer to your question is we too have a sister who I think keeps us in line. And that probably is the real reason at the end of the
We
day.
need a brother, is what you're telling me, because we don't
Yeah.
have a brother.
Yeah.
I don't
Another
know. It's all
drow.
about that sister. Yeah, truly she is the best. And yeah, like she really does. She's always a sounding board. She's always one of our first watches and is the biggest supporter across the board. As far as the work that we gravitate towards though, I think we're always drawn uh to characters and people who are in some way, whether they're ostracized from society or they are different or they're trying to figure out how they fit into society. Those are the characters that Garrett and I always resonate with. And that is always what we search for first and foremost. It's sort of funny talking about Don't Log Off because thematically, I think this film, really looking back on it in particular, we set out to make one thing. Looking back on it, I don't know, Garrett, how you would verbalize it, but how I would verbalize it is truly what got us through that period of lockdown were our friends. It was that group of friends who saved and who saved us from the boredom and all of that. And so when we look back on that period, we can look at all of the characters in this film. They are all amalgams of our closest friends who got us through that time. And this film is none other than a love letter to all of them.
That's beautiful. Thank you guys so much. I had a blast. I tried to figure it out. I did not succeed, but it was a great time trying.
Thanks, Tina. I also have to say one more thing before we say goodbye, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So one of our dear friends is also the editor of our film. He's been a friend of ours for over 20 years at this point. 15, 20 years. Eric Vogt Nielsen is his name. You interviewed one of the cast members of one of his other films that's coming out this year called Big Boys. It was a phenomenal interview. We absolutely loved it and enjoyed it. But yeah, Big Boys is one of Eric's other films. Eric has 3 movies coming to theaters this year. The other one is called Plainclothes, which did very well at Sundance with Russell Tovey. It's also beautiful and phenomenal. And our other friend Carmen Emmy is the writer-director of it. So it was really fun to see a familiar face. And we're just such a fan of yours, Tina, and all of your interviews.
Oh,
So
well,
Yeah,
thank you so much. I so unexpected. Thank you.
thanks for having us on.
yeah, we really appreciate it.
Thank you. You guys have this is awesome. I'm so glad that maybe one day all of our paths will meet again.
We
Hope
hope
so.
so.